Welcome to the video, everyone. Before we start, a big shout out to our sponsors for today. Foco. If you don't know what Foco is, this is what Foco is. This is what Foco is.
That is what Foco is behind his head as well.
Click the link. Check out Foco. If you use the code cfctvyt, 15, you get a 15% discount. They've got some really good stuff. Lots of funky gear. Very nice. Little Hawaiian shirt.
Love it.
Check it out. Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Yeah, it's not as bad as people thought it was so far. A lot of people had a lot of things to say after we lost to Man City, after we had questionable performance against cfctvyt. We almost went out in that game. We ended up very nearly dropping points against Bournemouth as well. It wasn't a convincing win, let's just put it like that. And now we are in a position where actually people are looking at this Chelsea side and starting to take us a little bit more serious. And I think one of the big factors has been the threat we have up top in terms of scoring goals with players like Palmer, Madueke, obviously did very well against Wolves. Jackson has picked up some lovely form. New signings like Neto, Jadon Sancho as well. We haven't even spoken about Mudryk, who we spent over 60 million on. So, yeah, plenty of quality up top. I don't think that's really been an issue for Chelsea fans, although there's still been this argument about Victor Osimhen, who has been doing very, very well in Turkey. I just want to say he has been performing in Turkey. Even though it's the Turkish league, he's still doing well. So maybe we could come back for him in January. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, Chelsea have lost 2 out of the last 20 games since February to Arsenal and Manchester City. No team outside of those two have taken more points. So let's not all Maresca. Obviously, we had a nice run of form towards the end of last season. But we'll take it. We will take it. Chelsea are on the up. And look, I certainly question the appointment of Maresca. Who wouldn't? But look, the man is getting us playing some good football. And we always knew that we could score goals in this team. The problem was defensively. Could we keep the ball out of the back of our net? And the answer has usually been no. When I spoke to Matt after the West Ham game, if you watch back the fan cam, he said it was 370 days since we kept back-to-back clean sheets. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So this brings me to a topic of conversation which I have been speaking about since the very beginning, since pre-season. And people thought I was a bit silly, and people are starting to open their eyes up to a little bit. I know there's still one corner who certainly disagree. But let's talk about it anyway. So, we've got Wesley Fofana on one side, and we've got Tosin on the other side. Who do you start for Chelsea alongside Levi Colwill? Because I think we could all agree that Colwill will always start ahead of both of them. So it is really between those two. Disasi's out of the picture. I think it's the same with Badiashile as well. So those guys are not competing for the starting spot in this squad. When those players get minutes, it's not because of how well they've been playing or how good they are, because we have seen that the quality just hasn't been there recently, which is a shame because I think Disasi had good moments last season. He just doesn't suit what Maresca's trying to do. I think he lacks pace, he lacks intelligence. It's just not good enough, to be totally honest with you. And then Badiashile, I don't even know what to say about that guy. I think he just lacks everything. And even in pre-season, where players should be playing well, against the opposition that we were playing against at times, Badiashile just looked very lacklustre as well. And it was the same under Poch. So he's even lower down the pecking order. But for me, I've always been in the camp that I like Wesley Fofana. I think Wesley Fofana is a good player. I think he can play to a very, very high level. I think he's, if the guy can stay fit, he's a very good player. And that's why we spent £80 million on the guy. Yeah, so nobody can dispute that he has a lot of quality. But if I look at his, game by game statistics, I'm not even talking about clean sheets or anything like that. Just what games did he play in? What games was he available for? How many times could he play 90 minutes? When he started off at Leicester, he had a good stint of 21 games before he had a hamstring problem. He then was out for about 5 games. He managed to make up for another 10 games after that before he broke his fibula. All right, and that was the beginning of the new season. So in his first season for Leicester, Wesley Fofana actually was available the majority of the time. In his second season for Leicester, he missed 30 games because of injury. So he basically missed the whole season because of injury. The season after that, we decided to buy him, which is just not smart business, let's be honest. Terrible business. From a financial point of view, to sign a player so injury prone when he's injured, that just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Played a couple of games for Chelsea, then he had a knee problem, missed pretty much the majority of his first season for Chelsea. He had a couple of games where he was able to get a bit of a run out. I remember when he ended our goal scoring drought. I can't remember who we played. I think Lampard might have been the manager by that time, or maybe even Graham Potter. This was still when we just sacked Tuchel that season. And then you look at the season after that, last year, he was injured the whole season again. So, credit to the man. He has recovered very well. And it's not easy to come back from an injury. Nobody can dispute that. He deserves credit for being able to come back and be as fit as he has been. Maresca's come out publicly and said, for Fofana to come back and perform at the level he is, not just physically, but in terms of football as well, he deserves a lot of praise for that. But what I believe, and I will always believe, is that you should prioritise players who are going to play. And where do you have any proof that Wesley Fofana can stay fit for a whole season? Multiple seasons. You even look at Reece James, yeah? Now, when Reece James first came into the squad, he had a couple of years before he really had that bad injury. He was introduced under Frank Lampard. He had a great second season under Thomas Tuchel when we won the Champions League. And he had another good season after that, and that's when he got injured. But he was world class up to that point. He was considered the best right back in world football. And every time Reece James comes back, he is the difference between us winning and losing football matches at times. We saw that last season when he came on against Nottingham Forest. We won that game 3-2. That was one of the games that really got us European football. So there is the argument that, well, Fofana's a great player, but he might be injury prone, but when he comes on, he makes a huge difference. I don't know if he does. I don't know. Is he good enough to really be that player? No, not for me. And that is why I look at a player like Tosin, who, by the way, still an experienced Premier League footballer, a player that is able to play in the system that we are trying to implement, who was part of the academy at Man City, went to Fulham to get game time, did well there, and obviously earned his move to Chelsea. It was a free deal, so we managed to give him a nice contract as well. He's on about 120 grand a week. And I've been saying that Tosin should start ahead of Wesley Fofana, and I will stand by that, yeah? I think that maybe apart from the cfctvyt away game, Tosin's looked very good in every single game that I've seen him in. I thought he was very good when we played cfctvyt at home. I think he was good against Bournemouth when he came on. He was the difference maker. And I think he was arguably man of the match against West Ham, especially defensively. Right, him and Cucurella were solid, but I thought Tosin just looks like a rock at the back. Very, very good player for me. Very good player and great value as well. Nobody speaks about the guy because we didn't spend any money on him. Credit to the recruitment. It's a good signing, yeah? And if a player like Tosin doesn't work out, you can't really say much because we didn't spend money on him. But for a player like Fofana who costs 80 million, he needs to thrive. He needs to show us, I am the man. He's not done that, yeah? And at this point, I mean, he came off with a slight problem against West Ham as well. Who knows how bad that is? We'll obviously find out in the future. But it's difficult for me as someone who wants to see this team built around players who are available every week to back a player like Fofana. It's just very difficult for me to look at him and want him to play ahead of Tosin because, as I said, Fofana's a fantastic athlete. I think, considering the problems he's had, his change of pace is exceptional. He jumps up so high. A very natural athlete. He's just very good at what he does. And if he could stay fit all the time, maybe we'd be having a different conversation. But I build this team around Cucurella on the left, Colwell, Tosin, and then you've got Gusto or James on the right. So I struggle to see how people dispute that when you haven't seen the guy play consistently over any season for Chelsea. What is there to prove that Fofana is a top defender? And how do you describe a top defender? What is a top defender? Because if a top defender is just having 5 good games and then getting injured, then you say Fofana is. But I don't think a top defender is that. I think a player like that needs to be available. He needs to be consistent. And he needs to show other attributes as well, other qualities. Is he a leader? I would say no. Yeah, especially if you're saying against Tosin. Tosin looks like more of a leader. If you watch him in training, watch the way he speaks, the way he commands the box. For me, Tosin's a better leader. Is he going to be more loyal to Chelsea than Tosin? No. Yeah, we heard him come out when he was having an interview with Free Foot. And he revealed that one day he hopes to play for Marseille as he is a supporter of the League One Giants. It's just ridiculous. The guy's not even been at Chelsea for like that long. He's barely played any games. And he's talking about going to Marseille. I know this is old news for some of you, but not everybody's aware. He said, Olympique Marseille, we'll see one day. I still have a contract until 2029. We'll see. Marseille is my city, my club. I am a Marseille supporter. We'll see if I end up being at Marseille in a few years or if I stay at Chelsea for the rest of my career. It's just, I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not good. It's pathetic. Come on, guys. He also revealed he considered a move to the club, adding, I had a talk with Marseille that really touched me. It was from the director, Benashi. It was special. I thought about it, but there you go. The current objective is to succeed at Chelsea to establish myself at the club. Yeah? So, if the football side of things tells you that Fofana should start ahead of Tosin, does this change your mind? Yeah, I mean, for me, this is not even a conversation. I think this is quite simple. I don't understand why people would debate this. I don't get it. He is not a loyal player, Fofana. As soon as he wants to go, he will strop, he will bitch, he will moan. Exactly what he did at Leicester to get the move to Chelsea. He will do that to us when he wants to leave. Yeah? And that is not the kind of player I want at this club. So for me, I start Tosin next to Colwell. Fofana's still a good player, good rotation player. We saw he can play on the right if we have injuries with Gusto and James. I'm here for it, yeah? Keep him in the squad. But he should not be starting ahead of Tosin. We should not be building this team around a player who's not only unreliable on the pitch, but he's unreliable off the pitch, as I've just read to you now. So that's my reasons why I would start Tosin and build this team around him and Colwell ahead of Fofana. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. And listen, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. All the best and up the Chelsea.